I'm very pleased to announce that I've retired the breadboard insulation for the Arduinos. You might recall that the cardboard was basically protecting the underside of the two Arduinos from the ROVer skeleton. But they've been finally situated on ROVer permanently, well, somewhat permanently. They're screwed down. You can always move them, which I need to be able to move them. But they've found their home. And I'm happy about that. And because they found their home, it's made it possible for me to kind of get past that procrastination of figuring out which wire needs to be how long and where does it need to connect to and that sort of stuff. So that's really helped me get farther along with the kind of organization of ROVer's wiring and really clean up his layout. So I wanted to give you guys an update and show you where kind of what the thought process was that I went through and where we are now. So let's take a look. It's all quite a tight fit, but these aluminum standoffs work great. I started positioning them as well as I could using the punch holes that I already had in the board, and basically started trying to arrange the Arduino Mega 80K board and the Uno board, making room for that red board that you see underneath, which is the future 4-motor controller for other smaller motors. So it's a little difficult to see, but it starts to get really clean, and you can start to see now that everything lines up really nicely, and it's even got the room for the cables. Isn't that sweet? So as you can see, it's quite a bit more organized. The breadboard is still there, but only because the only remaining pieces that are connected to it and the ROVer are sensors, such as these infrared receivers and transmitters, and of course the sonar ultrasonic sensors that I've since removed, which are on here, these mounted ones, which are awaiting their positioning on ROVer's legs, feet, I'm not sure. But that's the idea. I'm particularly happy with how some of the wiring harnesses are coming out. So this is the wiring harness for the two RoboClaws. Again, trying to keep everything organized. You'll remember that this is the one that we went over in the previous video episode for connecting the RoboClaws via diodes. And over on this end of ROVer, we've got another wiring harness here for connecting the Arduino Mega 80K board with the Uno board via resistors on the I2C comms. And I've got this kind of power bus set up here for the 5-volt logic power for some of these boards. But in several cases, you'll notice that I've got basically the boards daisy-chained for the 5 volts and ground, so that they're sharing the same 5 volt and ground. There's a couple that still need to get kind of wired in permanently, such as this shift-out board is going over here to the bus, but their proximity to the relay board here makes this an easy jump, so I'll probably just wire these two together. The key thing here, and why I don't mind having them permanently wired together versus using something like a temporary bus, is these are all parts of the ROVer that would have to be on simultaneously or have power simultaneously. The two Arduino boards, the shift out, and the relay all would have to be on at the same time anyway. So it's not like, for example, I would want to have one of them off while the others are on. So it's not that an issue. But it's really coming together, and it's nice and clean. Yeah, so it's really coming together. And really kind of the next step is kind of fun because it involves really kind of situating the sensors. I'm not going to tackle the infrared receiver transmitter yet, simply because I think they're ultimately going to get positioned off of ROVer's main body. I think there's going to be some sort of kind of vertical tower of sorts. If you think of the Mars rovers as a concept, you'll remember that they kind of have this long neck on top of which kind of has his head. So I don't know if that's where I would ultimately situate the tablet brain, but I know that I need to have the infrared sensors kind of higher up simply for line of sight and that sort of thing. But what I can tackle is these babies. So if you saw the photos over on Instagram, I've managed to get these figured out as far as the mounting. The HCSR04 ultrasonic sensors, they're notoriously difficult to actually mount because their screw holes are minuscule. And not even the guys who make this have screws to actually mount them. So unless you want some, really clunky sort of mounting bracket that really just consumes and wastes a lot of room, you kind of have to figure out your own solution. And I managed to find these kind of hard plastic brackets that basically have a perfect dimension for the ultrasonic sensor to kind of fit in between, and literally just took a dab of epoxy and glued them in. So this is actually removable from the aluminum channel, and this aluminum channel is actually going to get mounted on ROVer's kind of legs, the things that you see swinging in that previous clip. But yeah, so kind of getting these on, we already have the infrared, the sharp IR distance sensor. So getting these in place really kind of equips ROVer with good forward sight. And also, the only thing after that is actually mounting the motors and the tires and the wheels and getting ROVer on the ground and testing the actual controls. So that's going to be big, obviously. So kind of the whole reviving ROVer saga is going to culminate with ROVer taking his first steps. But yeah, excited, and I guess stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll look at mounting these babies and yeah, and go from there. Okay, until next time. Cheers.